Hi, this is Ken Scheme. I'm a farmer and miner, and I'm really spent a lot of time studying God's creation and how it fits in with geology and how geology fits with science and how science fits with religion. I guess one of the things that really got me peaked and deciding I needed to get my head straight on religion and science was in a college class at Logan. And the biology teacher was really smart, but he challenged us and he said that religion was a crutch to learning science, to throw it away and just learn science and forget about religion. And I knew there was a God because of some of the experiences I had when I was a kid, and so I studied hard and put the creation story and science together. Maybe I'll tell you a little bit how come I feel like there's a God or know that there's a God. Um, when we were young, I don't know how old we were. I don't think we were baptized yet, but my cousin, he's the same age as I, and Brent and me were told not to go swimming on Sunday. We went down and went wading in a local irrigation ditch in some headgates. The water came out of the headgates and swirled around in a big slow whirlpool and dug a big hole behind the headgates. And I was trying to get Brent to swim. I told him that I could swim. Dad had thrown me in, and I'd learned to dog paddle a little bit. And of course, he was there to save me in a little hole with a little whirlpool. And so I was telling Brent, "Hey, it's not that hard to swim." And besides that, it was my parents that had told us not to go swimming, and so I thought that he wasn't under obligation to not swim like I was under obligation not to swim. But as we were waiting there, I was trying to get him to swim, and I just give him a little push, just a little push. But anyway, the current swept him out on the slick moss, and he went off the end of the cement, and he was in trouble trying to swim, and he was panicking, and it looked like he was going to drown. And I thought, well, wow, what do? I only know how to dog paddle. And then I thought, well, you better try to save him because you've got him into trouble. And I thought, wow, God save him, And anyway, I took out in the water dog paddling after him. And when I got to him, he was panicked, and he just was all arms, and he pushed me under the water, and I couldn't breathe, and I was there a long time. And when I thought I was about gone, my mind started switching to all the different things in the world. How am I going to get out of this? How am I going to get out of this? And I remembered that a picture of Jesus that I had seen in a Sunday school class. And as I remembered that picture, I relaxed and kind of sunk down in the water, and Brent apparently let go of me then, and we were able to get out and be saved. And I had a warm feeling at the time when I saw the picture of Jesus, and I was able to relax, and to me it seemed like a miracle that I got out, and I was thankful I did. And I was thankful that I went after Brent, even though it's probably a foolish thing to do, to go after somebody drowning when you don't know how to swim. If you're not a swimmer, it's not a really smart thing to do, but it's not a smart thing to get somebody in trouble and not try to help them out either. Anyway, in the 80s, Jeanette and I wrote a book. I wrote the book, and Jeanette made it so people could read it, about the creation and science. It's called In the Beginning. And then as I studied more these last 2 or 3 years, I've been able to see a correlation that's really neat about how science and religion fit together. And it's from 2 Peter, and it's how days are within days. I mean, weeks are within weeks of creation, and I'd like to tell you how that fits together and correlate it with some art that I've had done. And I hope that it'll be able to make sense to you, and I'll be able to communicate with you how excited I am, and how it seems wonderful, all the different let there be lights there are. I've been studying on and off, and I've come up with a new level of understanding that I'm so excited about that I'd like to share it with you. It's I guess Peter, 2 Peter 3:8 has got me interested. And it's kind of, I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit. In the last days, scoffers will come. Be not ignorant of this one thing. One day is as 1,000 years, and 365 million years is one day. Well, you don't really read the 365 million years in the Bible, but several scholars, including me, read that. One day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is a day. 1,000 years of 1,000-year days is the way we get the 365 million years is a day. God does not slack keeping his promises. He is Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the way, the truth, and the life. He that believeth in him shall have eternal life. I came to realize that for this to be one thing, for one day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 of those years to be a day, and for that to be one thing, that there had to be a nesting. It's like a carton of eggs. Each egg is a thing, but yet a carton of eggs is a thing, and then if you had a case of eggs, it's a bigger thing. And that principle has helped me to correlate the creation and time in a fairly straightforward way. I've tried to correlate it in a lot of ways, but this way it seems to work out really neat for the beginning of each nest of events. Peter's one thing is the nesting of time. Its structure, these paintings try to represent weeks within weeks. They show how the first three events of the creation are repeated with different levels of understanding. A darkness, let there be light. Waters divided from waters. Water gathered together, and dry land appears. Earth bringing forth herbs, and plants yielding seeds after their kind, and the tree yielding fruit whose seed within itself. Now, to understand this fully, you have to understand a little bit of the Hebrew word min, yod, mem. It means waters, which are the seeds of the waters. It is the way it's in kind of a Kabbalic translation as waters, which are the seed of the waters. And so you have on each nesting, you have the waters that were preceded it being the creative element, or the things that are created in the second or third or fourth level of creation, and you get down to waters creating animals, and animals creating after their kind more animals, and after their kind is the way of creation from the waters which existed before it. And now these paintings have three different layers in them. The first layer is always on the top, and it's the Hebrew way of thinking. The days begin with the darkness, and then there's the let there be light. And in the middle of these paintings, there's waters divided from the waters, and at the end of them, it's the plants and the dry land coming together, and plants creating after their kind, and the seeds in their self. And so to understand these three paintings, they have a continuity that goes from a let there be light to the waters divided from the waters to a gathering together of the waters and the plants creating after their kind. In the first day, we have, the time frame is 6 weeks of the 305 million year days that Peter describes. And probably why it's 6 weeks instead of 7 is because before there was a let there be light, how would you keep track of time, and Peter doesn't say it is time, he says it's as time. And so we look at it and we see it as time, and where God is probably outside of time. Anyway, the Big Bang happened probably 13 to 15 billion years ago. I call that time the Hubble time. And the let there be light, Big Bang is commonly called that. And then the waters divided from the waters are the stars and the galaxies being separated out from that initial light flash. And one interesting thing I found about the second day in the creation, on all the other days it said it was good, but the separation of the waters from the waters, it doesn't say it was good, and so a Big Bang may fit that theory, and that all the rest of the days it had, and it was good. And at the bottom of the first level of creation, we have the earth coming up dry and gathered out of the waters of the other creation, and plant whose seeds were in itself. And now the first plants were algae, I suppose, is what the scientists say. There was probably some living things that were pre-algae, but that was one of the first things, and they came from the waters of the earth, which came from the waters of the galaxies, which came from the waters that the first light came from. And God moved upon the face of the waters and said, "Let there be light," and there was light.